Hey, how you doing today?
Doing fine. How are you?
Doing great. We watched another awesome anime.
We did.
Because that's clearly all we do now.
Yeah.
And this one also, a friend of ours did let us know that we should watch it.
Thanks, Jordan.
So shout out to Jordan. And this one was a little interesting because we've been doing a lot of isekai.
Yeah.
This is not an isekai. Actually, it's a anime about a guy playing a video game.
Yeah, and a lot of it takes place in the video game, but some of it takes place in the real world. But all the stuff that would be like usually isekai stuff is just video game stuff.
Yeah.
So it's called Shangri La Frontier.
Yes.
And it's fantastic.
It's awesome.
Yeah. We watched season 1, and season 2 is starting soon. I think in the next couple of weeks.
Just around the corner. It's funny, we didn't even find out the date. We're just like, soonish, probably.
October.
Yeah, I think October's right. So season 1 came out October of last year, 2023. And so basically, it's funny because when we started watching the show, I had a lot of preconceptions of it. So the basic idea of the show is there's this teenage boy in Japan, and he is a trash gamer.
Yeah.
Which means he only plays games that are broken and buggy, and he takes a lot of he gets a lot of joy out of beating them and figuring them out, even though they're almost unbeatable because they suck so bad.
Yeah.
And that's sort of his thing. And he's finished a bunch, and then somebody talks him into trying an actual real game, god tier.
Yeah,
game.
one of like the best, most popular VR games that on the market.
With a fully immersive VR game with over 30 million players worldwide.
Totally.
Because they say that in the beginning of every episode.
You have to know.
And this game is called Shangri La Frontier.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, from there he plays the game, and that's ultimately, the basic idea of this anime. Now, what I found shocking is we have seen so many isekai.
Yeah.
That going into this, at the end of the first episode, I was like, wait, he's not stuck in the video game? He's just playing a video game?
Totally. Yeah, no, because it's funny, because the reality of this is technically it's a slice of life, because it's about a guy playing a video game.
Yeah.
But because a lot of it is in this video game world, you care about him outside of it, but you care about him inside the world. And most of it is inside the game, and like weird things are happening. So it's not like it's not just that, it's a game that doesn't really have bugs and glitches the way the games he normally plays do, but things seem to be happening that aren't typical when it comes to the way he plays. And it's great because like they're able to do such interesting things, because like the way he plays is so different than a normal person would play, and it seems, we don't know, but it seems like he's almost like gonna be causing glitches, causing bugs, because he's not playing like a normal person plays.
He's just too good.
Right?
Yeah, well, I love the fact that they talk about the fact that he's like an agility luck build.
Yeah.
So basically he can't take any hits.
Yeah.
So essentially, which I love, because it's like, how do you make stakes in something that isn't really like, I'm stuck in the game, I'm gonna die if I die in the game, and they do little things like that, like him being like he can't really get a hit, and also like the luck thing kind of gives him that sort of overpowered isekai character feel.
Well, and add to that, in one of the first episodes, he gets cursed.
Yes.
So he can't even add extra armor to himself.
Yes.
So normally, even if he was doing that kind of build, like if he needed to, he could add, some sort of really strong armor. He can't.
I know. It's so good.
But one of the best parts about that is the look of him, which he is wearing a bird mask, and a pair of shorts.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And
he's wearing the bird mask because he didn't want to be running around just in a pair of shorts.
Yeah, because he was like, I'm gonna look like a pervert. And
yeah.
It's funny, the writer of the web novel that then became a manga in the anime, he was influenced by that real life gamer who plays Dark Souls, who runs around with like a jug on his head, and helps people beat bosses. And it's funny because that was my first kind of assumption when I saw it. I was like, oh, it's like that guy from Dark Souls.
I love that. I love like that it was inspired by something real.
It was, but I also think that like by the end of watching this, I also realized like his look also looks a lot like what's his name in Demon Slayer, with the big boar head.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
but it looks like him, and it also like his kind of mark that he has sort of looks like Tandro's scar from Demon Slayer.
Well, one of my favorite things is like in the game you can tell that a lot of the background characters and stuff were inspired by different anime characters. So you know, at one point he runs into this guy that the character name is Soma, and I'm like, wait, that looks like Soma from Shokugeki no Soma, and I think he was with someone that looked like a character from Naruto and someone that looked like.
Oh, well, yeah, totally. I mean, there's this one broken game that he keeps on going back to that is like kind of full of references. Like, it's in a post-apocalyptic world. I think his character looks like the guy from Fist of the North Star, but the way that the bugs work in this game, a lot of it is sort of a homage to One Piece.
Totally.
Like, there's definitely like a gum Gatling thing that they do, and there was one that someone does that is kind of like buggy moves, like their fist gets removed, and there are definite like things like that.
And I love that because that actually goes to like real gaming, you know?
Yeah.
Because people are always trying to build their characters. When you've got a lot of like features and stuff that you're able to build out yourself, people are always trying to build like, oh look, this guy looks like this actual character or this actual person.
Yeah.
Like, we've done it ourselves.
Oh, 100%. You know, I think that there is that fun idea of like character builds. Like, for instance, there is, you know, he doesn't look obviously anything like he does in the real world, but one of the main characters that starts as a sort of foil, but then the relationship sort of changes, this Arthur Pencil God character, we sort of find out that her avatar looks just like she does in the real world. And so, yeah, there's a lot of that. You know, I just think the thing that's so cool about this show, though, is like, I didn't expect to like it so much. It's kind of like, it's funny because I almost feel like part of it is like, it is a show that only exists also in an era of like famous Twitch streamers. Yeah. Because there's that idea of like you're very much
watching someone else playing.
Yeah, you're basically watching this like, you know, interesting person who's also commentating what they're doing in their head while he's doing it. Well, and I think that's like fascinating.
Well, I mean, that's one of the funniest things about it. Like when I was thinking about it the other day, I'm like, wait, there aren't exactly any stakes. So like when he's going into a big fight, the stakes are that he's gonna lose the fight and go like, you know, go wake up in his last safe spot. Yeah, like there are no real, because he's not stuck in the world. There's no real world stakes to it. So it's like it's, you know, there are sort of stakes, but like nothing like dire. And so it's just really funny. Well,
I think it's funny because I think the one issue with this show is I think you need to be people like us to really enjoy it. What I mean by that is people that not only like anime, but also are gamers. Yeah. Because I feel like if you've played like Elder Scrolls or Dark Souls or like any like sort of intense game where you're like, ugh, and you're like in like the worst thing and you're just trying to beat that boss. Like, you get it. You understand. And that's why the fights in this are awesome. And his inner monologue's awesome. And all the things he does to try to, like, get to a certain power-up so that he can defeat an enemy are awesome. And so, like, I think if you've lived that life, then you appreciate it. But I think, like, from the outside, it's sort of like, what are the stakes? Yeah. You know? And so that's what's weird. Because I realized, like, partway through, there's this really amazing scene where his weapons get upgraded by this, like, super shaman-esque like blacksmith, and in that scene I was like, oh my god, like I paused it, I was like, this anime is like playing an awesome game. It's like playing like how I felt when I played most of Skyrim. Yeah, you know that thing. It's like the story's awesome, the characters are awesome, the visuals at the time are awesome, the music's awesome. Yeah. There's this general feeling of like great craftsmanship. And it's really cool that like I don't need to fear that he is going to die as a person, because I also think that opens it up to a whole nother layer of this, which is this really adorable sort of like will they won't they relationship between him and this girl who basically is very one-sided for her.
Yeah.
Like, she's absolutely obsessed with him, and he hardly knows she exists.
Well, it's so funny. So part of the reason that the person that recommended the game to him was because she's totally playing matchmaker.
Yeah.
So this girl like totally loves him.
Yeah.
And knows that he's a trash gamer, and she can't, like, she's not as good at that. Like, she can't do that. And so she ended up getting really good at Shangri La Frontier.
Yes.
And so, like, her whole idea is, and he'll start, and I'll meet up with him right when he starts, and I'll be able to show him the ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because, like, in a classic sort of, like, you know, comedic way, her character in Shangri La Frontier is essentially like Darth Vader. Like, she is this giant, scary knight with a humongous sword that is known as the Attack Master, and everyone fears her, and he has no idea it's her, so to him it's just some, like, scary person who's gonna, like, kill him in the game. And so it's so like good. we as viewers know it's this cute girl who loves him, but to him it's like this scary player.
Well, the best thing is when you see that like avatar being like,
yeah, like, they're like, do you want to, like, friend request? Yeah. And it's funny, too, because she's so, like, you know, she's very much like a Hinata type character, which she's, like, constantly looking around the corner, like, you know, like totally, you know, standing for him. And
you saw her do it in real life, like, as her, you know, as a real girl. And then you see her in the game as this giant, like, you know, crazy looking knight.
Yeah, and you know, I also think I wanted to change subjects real quick, in keeping with his like kind of friends, the other people, but like he's got this core group. He's got like one best friend that he plays other games with, who's a pro gamer, and he's got this other character he ends up teaming up with, who's also a really good gamer. And I love that sometimes in a lot of anime we watch, there's like you know, maybe like a few like it's like the main character is always the strongest, and everyone else is like kind of strong. But you never sort of feel like, until Vegeta and Goku became like besties, it was like Goku up here and all the other Z fighters down here. I know everyone loves Piccolo, but it was that way. And this isn't really like that. Like, he has unusual skills and he is special, but his buddy is a pro gamer, so theoretically he's like just as good as he is.
They like you said, they have special skills and they have completely different builds. And so, you know, whereas Sanraku, you know, is using like speed and like I said, luck. You know, the other gamer, he's got like agility, he's got like, you know, much more balanced kind of skill set. But like,
well, he's a tank. His buddy's a tank.
And they're able to work together best. Like that's how they're really like able to get like through big bosses and stuff. It's so cool.
It is. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention is there's like several bunny characters in this. So if you're a fan of cuteness and cute bunnies,
there's definitely some cuteness.
You got that.
I also, you know, I appreciate that they give like, you know, definitions of the terminology for people that aren't gamers. You know, but it's so funny because it's up there so quickly, and it's like, I'm glad I know these things, but I appreciate that they're putting them up there. But it's funny because we've been watching another anime, Quality Assurance in Another World, which the main character is a debugger. And so like,
but he is trapped in the world like we expected.
And so between these two, like the gaming terminology, and it's so interesting the way that like they teach you things, but also like, you know, they don't like force you to. You don't have to know the stuff, you know? It's like, you can learn a little bit of it.
Yeah. I feel like, yes, I agree with that. I do feel like this one maybe is a tad denser. Like, I feel like if you don't know video games at all, it's not like... Like, for instance, I think, like, Ready Player One is a really good example of, like, not really understanding, like, video games, but still getting, like, what's going on.
I mean, I know what you're saying. Like, it's definitely dense, and they definitely, you know, use a lot of, like, video game jargon. And but at the same time, it's like, I feel like that's a lot of fantasy worlds, you know? And where it's like, you know, if you don't know what a Gorgon is, or you don't know, like, what, like, all these different things are, you know, they don't make sense to you, but at the same time, in context, you get it. And so I think this is the same kind of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of jargon and terms you might not understand if you're not a gamer, but at the same time, like, you'll get it from context.
You know what it is for me, and I guess this is what I meant, is like, you know in like One Piece when like all of a sudden like Luffy's in a fight, he's like, oh great, I've always wanted to try out this new move.
Right.
And he does this crazy thing, and it's just like, wow, Luffy's got a new move, and then we just move on, right? And because they like almost never, like the only time, there's only been like 2 times they've really explained Luffy's moves. It's like one time was when like it was who was it? It was the who's the lion guy? The guy who fights in Water 7?
Yeah.
Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci realizes how Gear 2 works. Mm-hmm. And so he explains to the audience. But if Rob Lucci didn't explain to the audience, like, Luffy didn't explain anything.
Yeah.
And the same thing with, like, Rayleigh sort of explains hockey.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm saying is, like, in One Piece, he can just sort of have these powers and we just sort of accept it. In this, he actually is explaining what he's doing. True. And he's like, I need this certain thing to be able to, you know, have, like, full counter or whatever. And you're sort of just, like, keeping up with it is just, like... You don't have to, but it's not as easy as, like, now my new special move. Well, he's, like, trying to explain what it is.
And I think it's especially, like, strong on what you're saying because he's a trash gamer, because he, like, a lot of things he does are sort of based on the glitches in other games and the way that he's had to maneuver around in games, like, because of those glitches.
Yeah.
And so, like, so there's even more tech talk that comes into it. So,
true, yeah.
But I also think it's so fascinating and so smart the way they do that. And, like, and it just makes it so much fun. And because he doesn't play like anyone else. And like you said, it just, I would, if there was an actual guy, like, you know, playing a game like this, I would totally sit there and watch, you know?
Oh, totally. Well, it definitely feels like, you know, it definitely feels like somebody who's like a master at Dark Souls fighting. But the world feels kind of like what I assume playing World of Warcraft was like. I never played World of Warcraft, but like I know there was an era where it was huge and like a lot of people were playing it. And it's this big, very immersive fantasy world, and that's kind of what I feel like this world is like.
Well, and people like play it for different reasons. It's like there's people that are out to like hunt the monsters. There are the people that just want to learn about the world. There's the like we met the people in the library, you know.
Yes.
Like some people just want to wander the world, and some people want like the real like adventure and fighting of it. And it's just a fun anime.
It's really good. I mean, I really, really loved it, and we finished it really quickly because we were super into it. I only have one note.
Okay.
There's only one thing that I feel like is... There's one thing I didn't like about it, and it's minor, but it is something I wanted to address. So, it's 25 episodes, right?
Which is
First
awesome.
season, which is great. The climax of the show happens at, like, episode 19, right? And it's this, like... amazing fight that goes on for several episodes, and it is killer. Like, it is well worth watching the whole season. It's freaking awesome, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, when that fight is over, we sort of get, like, 5 kind of okay, chill episodes that are kind of, like, interstitials between first and second season, and I kind of felt like... I'm used to One Piece or one of these other shows
where
Naruto,
the big fight
happens, and then there's maybe one episode after, and everyone like looks. It's like everyone's like, oh look, Luffy has a new bounty, you know, like, and everyone like celebrates. But it's not like 5 more episodes of stuff.
Yeah, well, so I think the problem is that, you know, that big boss fight that did like it had to do with. You know, going through the world, but it didn't really have to do with the overarching story. Like in that, you know, from the outside, we can see that he seems to be like causing something to happen in the world, like more than anyone else has.
Yeah.
And so that's the reality of the story. And so beating the, you know, the boss, beating the like that big boss fight was only like a small part of it. It wasn't about the furthering of the story so much. Like it was, but it wasn't, because like
I just felt like they wanted to keep a good pace.
Yeah.
And they ended up going, oh, we want you guys to do 25 episodes instead of 20.
Yeah.
And they're like, oops, what do I do now? That's what it felt like to me.
I'm just glad that the new season is starting, because where it left off is like, well, this is where like the next episode should come in, and I've got to wait for next season.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then one other quick little thing we both liked is I we love that, like, it is a slice of life, and this kid, there is a little bit of him in the real world when he's not playing the VR game, and it's just nice that he has this like nice little normal family.
Yeah, like they are just a delightful family. Every like Sunday or Wednesday, they all have to be there for like breakfast and dinner or something, and you get to learn like all of his family. Every member of his family is obsessed with something. So he's obsessed with gaming. His sister's obsessed with fashion. His mom is obsessed with bugs, and his dad is obsessed with fishing.
It's just so cute,
and they're just a delightful family.
Yeah, it's like so much of like the big anime heroes we watch come from like relatively broken families where either their parents are dead like Naruto, or like they're leading revolutions like Luffy, and it's just like it's nice to just have like, oh look, like it's just a cute little family. This is really nice.
Look at this well-adjusted child.
I know. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Is there anything you want to say?
Watch Shangri La Frontier.
Yeah, no, it's super awesome. It is on Crunchyroll. Next season comes out soon. Highly recommend it, especially if you're a gamer. But also, like, just the fights and animation are awesome.
Yeah.
They're so good that even if you're not a gamer, you'll probably become one if you watch this show because it's really that good. All right, well, talk to you guys later. Bye.